Hello and welcome to Little Blue Pot, it's Jen here. Thank you for joining me for the 31 Days of Mental Health, and this video is Steps to Recovery. When you are suffering from mental illness and you perhaps have gone into therapy, you're taking your meds, you've done your therapy and things like that, you're kind of then going into recovery. And I'm doing this because I've talked about recovery before, but I want to just stress that when you have a mental illness, sometimes you can fully recover and never experience it again. But with some more severe mental illnesses, recovery is more about learning how to live with your illness, how to cope with your illness, and manage it as best as possible so it has less of an impact on your day-to-day life. So when we are going through our recovery, there are 4 main steps that I want to talk about here. And do these resonate with you? Have you tried any of these? Or are these kind of things that you're like, oh, this is really, really useful? Whatever you want to share with me, please put it in the comments below. So there's 4 steps to recovery, and I'm going to just list them first and then explain what they are. Number 1, recognition and acceptance. Number 2, understanding your illness. Number 3, learn your triggers. Number 4, introduce healthy changes at your own pace. So number 1, recognition and acceptance. This is probably one of the biggest of the steps to start, because I think a lot of people get their diagnosis, get their mental health diagnosis, and are like, what does this mean? What? I don't want to be defined by my illness, and everyone's going to think I'm weird and crazy and mad, and I'm not. I'm just struggle with things sometimes. So yeah, you probably get to that. Oh, especially if you just had maybe a diagnosis, you know, your first diagnosis, your first kind of step onto the mental health space ladder, I don't know. But yeah, recognition and acceptance. So saying, okay, so say you've just been diagnosed with depression. Oh, that's the bird from next door. So you've just been diagnosed with depression, and you're kind of like, oh, you know, I kind of knew it, kind of accept, you know, I kind of hadn't really accepted it, didn't really want to accept it, thought it was something else. Yeah, now I've got depression. So that is a you know, a really scary part. You're probably thinking, oh, I never thought I'd have a mental illness, I never thought I'd have problems like this, But part of it is saying, do you know what, I recognise that I'm not well. I recognise that my depression has an impact on my life. I recognise that because I've had to phone in sick at work or school or college. And recognition and acceptance, saying, okay, I have depression. I don't want depression. Who does? Who wants mental illness? Okay, I've got depression. So that isn't me. I'm not Miss Depression. I am me, but I have a bit of depression, or I have depression. Doesn't make up who you are. It's part of you, not all of you. Okay, so take ownership and say, yes, okay, I've got this illness. Now what do I need to do in order to get better? The second thing you need to do is understand your illness. I have done a video on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but understanding your illness is really, really important. When you have your diagnosis, speak to the psychiatrist, say, is there any a good place that I can go to find information about this illness? I personally will tell you the usual ones I always tell you: Mind.org, Mental Health Foundation, and Sane. All really, really good, for explaining different diagnoses, different mental illnesses, and, you know, can put your mind at ease. Because sometimes if you Google something, you don't know what you're going to get back, you don't know how reputable the site is, etc. So I would say make sure that if you are trying to research, understand your illness, you're going to reputable mental health charities, not just kind of like, you know, there's nothing wrong with Wikipedia. Wikipedia can be great, but there are times when Wikipedia can maybe scare. I don't know. Nothing wrong with Wikipedia. I love Wikipedia. I use it. But yeah, sometimes, you know, there might be other things online that might scare you. Not just, anyway, shush. So recognition and understanding. And the next one is learn your triggers. So triggers, I've done a video on that. Please check that out for 31 Days of Mental Health. Learning your triggers. Triggers are when we have mental illness and we have maybe had an experience in the past, a trauma, an accident, some abuse, and something happens in our day-to-day life. Maybe we're watching a film or we hear some piece of music or something like that, and it takes us back to that original trauma. So it triggers us. So when people say that person triggered me, I'm feeling triggered, it means that something has made them remember something from the past and brought back a flashback, or something that reminded them of their original trauma. Now, I made a list of triggers when I was in my therapy, and things for me like banging doors, people screaming, loud noises, people shouting, people looking at me funny, people laughing at me. There's loads of them. And now I want you to write your own. Try and list, as many as you can. Try and do at least 5 to 10. If you've got more, great. Well, not that I want you to have more. And when you're writing them down, if you start to feel triggered and you start to feel a bit, I don't really like this, then don't do it. The whole point is to learn what triggers you, so you can either prevent that trigger from happening or learn how to cope with that trigger when it happens. And number 4, for steps to recovery, introduce healthy changes at your own pace. Now this goes back to my setting goals video. Please check that out for the 31 days of mental health. Healthy changes, so making sure that you get your good baseline. Make sure that you're eating well, sleeping well. Let's find the others. Eating, sleeping, exercise, leisure, physical health and relationships. Make sure that maybe things that have maybe kind of fallen by the wayside a bit when you've been poorly, maybe you can invest that time. Now you're starting to feel a bit better, you're accepting your illness, you're understanding your illness, you're learning your triggers. So you can introduce these healthy changes and say, I'm not gonna do that anymore as a coping mechanism. I'm going to do this as a coping mechanism. Whatever you want to do, but introduce those healthy changes at your own pace. If someone starts saying, oh, you need to do this, you should do this, should, just be like, whoa, it's my own pace, it's my journey, my illness. I'm in control, no one else. So people will tell you what to do. Oh, you should do this and you should do that. And, oh, when I was recovering, I did this. That's fine for them. That worked for them. Great. Take what you can from that. If you think it's a load of rubbish what they did, obviously don't tell them, but say, I'm going to do my own thing. It's my journey, my recovery. I'm in control. Okay? So those 4 things, coupled with getting a good baseline and setting goal videos, hopefully those 3 videos will really give you an opportunity to think, hey, I'm in control of my life, I'm in control of my illness, and no one else is. Okay? Please let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Like I say, this is a very simple 4-step process, but really I can't think of other things that need to be added. However, if you think there are other things that need to be added, please do. And also my recovery as well. As some people, like I say, can make a full recovery and never suffer from mental health problems again. But a lot of people will never fully recover from the illness because there isn't one cure out there. So please share with me in the space below your experience of recovery, and do you like that term, or would you use the inverted commas, whatever it is? Please share with me any experience of this. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. All my hair's falling out. Bye.